Um, Before I get started, I just wanted to show that I'm not reading any notes or nothing. I'm just going to show this real quick. I'm just going through my slides and looking at the pictures and just going off of what I'm seeing, talking, and I'll try my best to let you know when I'm going to the next slide. Okay. Okay, starting now. Gothic Revival compared. Gothic Revival was in about the 1800s, mid 1800s, lasted for about 50 years. And moving on to the next slide. So here, dark, ominous, and a little scary. That's the definitions that came to my mind when I was thinking about what is Gothic. Gothic being the definition I got in high school with there was different cliques in our school, jocks, cowboys, and amongst them Gothic or goths. And this picture's a little over the top with the eye patch and the crow, but yeah, the dark mascara, dark clothing, dark hair, a little scary. I never looked into what Gothic meant. I mean, I just went off, my definition was based off the appearance of this certain teenagers in high school. Gonna move on to the next slide. So Gothic Revival obviously comes from Gothic architecture. It's just the revival means it came back. So in this picture here, again, a little dark, ominous, a little scary, right? I think other people might have the same impression of what Gothic means, but Gothic architectural's definition is more along the lines of peaks, spires, archways, and a strong base that the building is supported on. Well, all buildings are supported by their base, but it has like just a very strong, very apparent base to it. The reason why I got into looking into Gothic architecture or Gothic style, which is now Gothic Revival, is because one of the buildings that are my favorite, it's in Hamburg, Germany, which I will get into in a couple later slides. It's a building I went and visited many times. I had no idea what kind of architectural style it was, nor did I actually at the point care. Now that I'm in this class and I'm looking more into it, now these things are more important to me. So I looked into what style that building was, and it was Gothic Revival. So I decided to compare some other buildings to it. The criteria I was looking at was appearance, which with my definition of dark, ominous, and a little scary, and the actual definition of archways, spires, strong base. That's what my criteria will be, but also the cultural significance, since it was in the 1800s, there's gonna be some history to it, and the durability, because during that time, all these buildings were at some point touched by war. So next slide. Here we have the Church of St. Paul and St. Peter in Belgium. Now that is the English translation, and the actual translation is the Sint-in, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's in Belgium. So we'll just go with the St. Paul and St. Peter Church. Typically, Gothic architecture is a religious building, but not always. And I have one that isn't. So for appearance, dark, ominous, and a little scary for sure. There's no sunlight. It's an overcast day, probably enhances that a little bit. But it also has the spires and the peaks and the archways, very Gothic style for that point too. So it's gonna get a good mark there. And the other one, cultural significance. Now in the center, now if it was sun shining, it would be a little bit more brighter here, because in the center, that's all stained glass circle there with the little circles around it. And those all tell history in Belgium, whether it be saints or things that happened or certain figures. It all tells a story there, and I'm not sure how, but it must all wind to the middle there, because as you can see, they're all attached by a line to the middle. So that's that part of it. And on top of that, there's also a queen. Don't know her name, but there's also a queen at that time around when this was built that she has a coffin there made out of emerald. So it houses a queen. And then for durability, uh, there was war in Belgium. This building was uh, didn't go down, didn't get touched, whether that be because of its structural integrity or they just weren't aiming at it. I'm not sure, but it did survive a wartime, so it got a decent score. So this guy here, appearance, 5 out of 5, it hit everything I was looking for. Cultural significance, it houses a queen, it tells history on the stained glass, and it was unscathed. So we got a 5 out of 5 for that boy. Next up, in London, we have, what is it? It's not Big Ben, it's Elizabeth Tower. People think the big bell at the top is called Big Ben, so the building's called Big Ben, but it's not. Most people refer to it probably as Big Ben, but it's Elizabeth Tower. Its name has changed a couple times. Appearance, well lit, not dark or ominous or scary. Kind of square. There's not that many archways. I mean, there are, okay, I shouldn't say that. There are quite a bit of archways, but they're very small and insignificant. They're underneath the clock there, and they're up by the bells too, but you can't really see them. It's not the main feature of this building. The main feature is the clock, and the next main feature would be the big blocky spire. So I mean, it is a spire, but it's pretty blocky. So that's the appearance. And for cultural significance, well, it keeps the city on track. Just gotta look up there if they don't have a watch nearby, and they know what time of day it is. On top of that, a little more significant is that it's part of the Parliament buildings. You can't see them because they're kind of down off to the side. Now that's a little more Gothic style. I mean, it is still well lit, and that's not necessarily what Gothic is, but it does have more peaks and archways in it. So yeah, so it's part of the Parliament building, so there's more. And then lastly is the durability is London, yeah. So when they were in war, or when they are in war, I should say, whether they still do it or not, but back then, the lights would go out on this, so it's not so bright and easy to see at night. So in hopes that, it would camouflage and they wouldn't be attacked, but attack did come, and they attacked the Parliament, but nothing hit the tower, and it didn't get destroyed. But there is a lean to the building. Now, whether that is to the structural integrity or whether it was due to the shaking of the bombs and whatever went off during the war, it's uncertain. Also, another durability note is the actual hands of the clock. If birds are sitting on it, it's going to throw off the time. It's not strong enough to withstand any sort of weight on it, so they have to change the time on it all the time, or recorrect the time on it all the time, because if birds land on it, it throws it off. So appearance got a 3. Not that it isn't beautiful, because it is, and great to look at, but it didn't hit the marks I was looking for. Its cultural significance pretty high, being part of the Parliament and telling time, and the durability, it lost a mark for its lean. Next we have, this is the building that got me into looking in. This is the building in Hamburg, the St. Nikolai it's called. This is a picture I took myself. It was a little dark, ominous, a little scary. You got the leafless trees in front, the overcast sky definitely enhances that dark, ominous, and scary. But it's dark anyway, even if it's a beautiful day out and there's trees, this thing is black. It's a very tall spire, it has a strong base, archways all the way up it. It hit everything I was looking for there. Cultural significance, well, it kind of ties into the durability as well. So they're kind of going to be together on this, which is, yeah, Germany was in war. all the time back then. And this thing got hit, and the city got hit hard and burnt and everything. But the building stood. You see, like what you see here, the spire didn't. It is how it would have been back then. It hasn't been refurbished at all. So it withstood that like a champ. The reason why it is so black is because it actually was charred. There was fire all around this thing. The chapel in the back that burnt down, but the spire stood. Um, so for the cultural significance, is this building was left untouched, like as it is now, just as a emblem of what the city came over, the trials it came over, and a reminder of its past. So we're going to move on now, or no, sorry, then it's going to show I gave it full marks. One's my favorite building. I might have been a little biased, but it did hit all the marks I was looking for. Clicking again, and that's going to be the conclusion, which is, yeah, the winner basically was St. Nikolai. They're looking into these other buildings. It made me appreciate a lot more other Gothic architecture. I didn't think there could be close competitors to this building, being my favorite, but the other ones I liked. Big Ben, yeah, maybe it wasn't, or Elizabeth Tower, maybe it wasn't top of the charts when it came to Gothic style, but it is Gothic Revival, and these are buildings that I would definitely go check out if I could. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you soon, Steve.